Had an internet hiccup there. Looks like we lost the stream, but probably my cable internet. I don't know what else it could be. Looks like we'll be back up here in a second. So I'm having hallucination. I started to have hallucination there. I guess I need another coffee. No, I don't think that Twitch is associated with chess.com, but you don't know. Who knows? Everything's possible. These big companies like Twitch and YouTube, don't know who they're affiliated with. But I just can't stand chess.com. Not just the principle of it, just the way it's laid out. Like, the programmer has done a horrible job with that site. I mean, it's just awful. I can't even, like, bear to try to navigate on it. It's so difficult. Everything's cluttered, and you can't even, like, report someone for cheating, which is also very commonplace. I mean, everywhere, but my last game on chess.com was this absurd cheating player. After that, I'm not going to play there anymore. Queen e7. I spent like an hour trying to find out how to like report my opponent for cheating, but then I just gave up. It was just too difficult. You have to send them like a 3-page letter. Queen e7. Why are you not castling kingside? Constant change. Why are you delaying that for so long here? Are you really going to castle queenside? Actually, there's nothing wrong with taking on d5 in this position. But I'm not sure it benefits me on the other hand either. Maybe it helps him by giving him some play along the e-file. It's a little similar to our last game, but my king is much safer than Robrand's king. Not last game, but the game where I faced b4, of course. Ah, yeah, Bughouse. It is a shame. I mean, eventually, I'm sure down the line that lichess will introduce Bughouse. It's actually strange. I mean, with all the variants they have here. I remember back in the day we used to play on free internet chess server. FICS or Fix. Everyone who played Bughouse played over there. But I was never a Bughouse aficionado. Just that, like, I used to teach high school kids, and a lot of them played Bughouse. Sometimes we would play Bughouse with the kids from a high school team. When I was a coach, I'm still a coach, but I don't really coach schools. Sort of just private students now because I'm living in Europe. A6 is a good move, constant change. You're stopping knight b5. And he's fast, so we have to be careful. I maybe at some point have to think about, well, when is he going to castle? Is he going to castle? When is he going to castle? Alright, let's bring the rook in the game. This is a principled move. It can't be bad. He's got a 3-minute time advantage. iRush. Fix, man. Look, I started playing internet chess in Boston University Computer Lab around probably 1992. I mean, I'm thinking there was a big Unix system in the whole university. And I recall around 92 playing in the computer lab online on what was the precursor of FICS and ICC, which was the internet chess server created by Danny Slater who's the owner of ICC, the creator of ICC, he basically invented the internet chess server, which would later on, become both FICS and ICC. And even then I was thinking about the greed of trying to profit privately from, creating an online chess server. I was pretty angry with Slater for breaking it up and creating ICC, and FICS had to go on its own way to become this free version. Okay, trading pieces. This is a theme here. I'm basically black, and Constant Change has played this pretty well. He has a kind of space advantage. So one theme in this Tory attack reversed, or whatever we want to call it, it's actually something like that. Trading a set of pieces could really increase my defensive potential quite a bit. So even 25 years ago, that's unbelievable. 25 years ago, well, that's not when ICC was created. It was a little later. I don't remember the exact time. Maybe later. Maybe it was 1995 or something. But anyway, I remember playing on the first internet chess server, and before that there was online chess. There was other stuff. CompuServe had a chess server or something. But I didn't do that. I just remember the first time I played online chess was with the typed in moves. You're actually typing in the coordinates of the moves. That was crazy. You want to talk about old school. Yahoo. I think he's just joking. Yeah, Yahoo chess was pretty horrible. No, I mean, I'm talking about 1992, typing in your moves on the keyboard, and a little green, the old green screens that some of you would never really, I know what I'm talking about, but the green colored computer monitors with the typed in coordinates. It's good stuff. That's old school, and there's even more old school than that, but I'm too modern to go older than that. All right, guys. Bishop here. Well, we could just simply, I guess, bishop f3. He's just terribly solid here. My plan was to play g3. I guess we'll stick with the plan. We turn it into a hippo, a hedgehog, whatever, man. I mean, it's a hedgehog. And the white's very solid. But still, there's not a lot going on. I mean, I think black's equal, more or less equal. The better players should win. We do have the advantage of the two Bs, for whatever that's worth. This is just not enough time to play these kind of strategic games. I get tons and tons of closed positions whenever I'm doing these streams. I think I have the wrong opening repertoire for for my blitz style, basically. My opening repertoire is good for slow chess. It's not really great for blitz. This isn't really my normal repertoire, obviously. But anyway, not that far from it. Knight e2. I actually wanted to play knight b1. Would have been better. This was a mistake. Now white's a tiny bit worse, but it's not too serious. Maybe I'm not really worse, but it feels like my options are pretty restricted here. I just don't have time to think. Objectively, I'm not really worse. Just easier to play black's position somehow. Maybe because he has a minute more than me. But I should have played knight b1. That was the original plan. To play a3, try to play a hedgehog where he doesn't have access to bishop b4. But anyway, black was equal. Now he's going to panic mode. He has a tendency to do this, where he plays too fast when I get into time pressure. He jettisoned his whole pawn structure now, probably loses a pawn. Do not play for the other guy's time pressure. Should have played king d2 in the first place. I don't think that extra tempo makes all that much difference here. I could play f4. It's not the most flexible move in the world. Okay, technical rook ending, clearly better for white, but I'm not certain that it's a win. Maybe he missed a chance there. You know, maybe he had e5. So I think now white's position is... Oh. Still not that easy for me. This will get sharp. Most likely some kind of counterplay for the other side. Open files. And we'll have to hope that our better king position will be enough to win. This is what I'm talking about here. Maybe not, though. He doesn't really have that much counterplay. He has that, though. All right. Thank you for the game. We'll move on. Bacchus Franco, one question IQ test. Looks like he's in time to play today. What are my thoughts on bullet chess? We had an extensive discussion about that. I don't think that it's really useful. Slaji's Weird Wednesdays. Don't know who that is. It's not my account. Bacchus, not a big fan of bullet chess. Freya Chess Queen. What's up, everybody? What are my thoughts on bullet chess? Yeah, we had every game is both bullets and bullet in the same game. Exactly. You know, I think that bullet is not my bag. I don't think it's real chess. You know, I think it's even this isn't real chess. I mean, blitz. Look at the ridiculous time pressure we get in, even with 8 minute. Like, why do we need to start with 1 minute? You know, I mean, it's already degenerating into a joke. Like with 8 minutes, like why would I have to start with 1? You know, I mean, that's something else. It's not chess. But I got distracted and I didn't play a weird opening. So we got to try to do something out of the ordinary here, just to make it in the spirit of things. Well, that's it. I reverted to my normal repertoire against Bacchus. So we can try something to make this interesting. It's not really an unusual opening. We'll play A3, and we'll call it a 1A3 type position. H4, okay, Music Dan. I was thinking about it, but it's really garbage. I mean, I don't want to play that. Yes, it would be. If I was playing more trashy type of coffee house openings, I would definitely consider H4 there. We'll call it 1A3 by transposition. Anyway, it can qualify to be something, but black shouldn't play D5 there. You know, you have to play knight F6 first if you want to play D5. But objectively, black's best moves are probably C5, E5, knight F6, any kind of normal moves. A3 can be a decent English. If you play A3 on move 1 and black plays, let's say, E5, the best move for white would be C4. A3, E5, C4. Hands down, white's best. And then Bacchus gives up his bishop. So we're going to take with the B pawn, not to allow a trade of queens. And ultimately his king side is very, very weak. Interesting approach. Quick development, but I think in the long run, the bishops are superior since the pawns aren't locked. Knight c6. Well, it's not like I'm running my clock down on purpose. You know, I'm trying to have a constructive discussion about the position and play the game at the same time. I'm not really concerned if I do get in time pressure. I'm a competent, very competent blitz player, so it is what it is. I don't like being in time pressure. I'm not purposely getting into time pressure, but when I do get in time pressure, so be it. I'm not avoiding, running out of time. And a lot of people don't react well to the increment time pressure. So this started out with a normal opening move order, but I'm inserting the move a3 to make it like it was an Anderson opening. Music down h4 would have been a little bit unsound. You can play this move h4 here, but with the move c4 in, it's marginally playable against something like knight f3, g6, h4. I think even that would be like marginally playable. You can always do it in the Sicilian, closed Sicilian. You can do h4, h5. A lot of players, even strong players, will throw that in. But it's a little bit coffee house, honestly. Look at Baku's with the craziness. Queen c4. It's tempting to sacrifice a pawn here with d3 and just give him this pawn. The problem is then I'd have to play king e2 or something stupid. Never mind. Well, anyway, trading queens would be one good option here, but I think rook b1. He's not threatening. Well, he is threatening knight e5 actually, but not really, because at the end of the day, he's going to drop the b7 pawn. It looks like. I'm a little bit concerned about this though, long run. Knight e5. Alright. Well, anyway, we have time to play this. It's a good move anyway. Any kind of endgame, white is slightly better. Yes, it's not an open position necessarily, but it's also not a closed position. So the knights are not necessarily great here. They're not bad, but I'm not sure they rival bishops. Now, my first plan was to play queen b3. I think it's a good move. And I looked at queen a6, queen b5 with advantage for white. The other option is queen e2. Okay, if queen b3, he has queen takes, rook takes, knight a5. Rook b5, b6, with a kind of blockade going on. So it may be better for me to play queen e2 in a sense. Queen e2, queen a2 doesn't look very good for black. Well, he does have the very awkward rook d3 there, though. That's super awkward. Rook d3, huh? Yeah, good luck with that. I do a lot of talk about bishops versus knights on my streams since we started it, but I think this kind of example is just position is too, like the pawn structure is just too non-committal for the knights to be good enough. White has too much flexibility, basically. So I also have the central majority. This one is suffering at the moment. If I play d4, maybe knight d5, and starts to be like knight b6, he starts to find outposts for his knights. But if I play just d3, of course you could play bishop takes c6. Think about that position maybe. c4. I'm a little worried about knight a5. So I think I like d3. We're not going to give him any outpost squares anywhere. And slowly this bishop will creep into the game. Maybe c4, maybe e4. Probably I'd prefer c4 though. c4 takes away the d5 square from his knight. I won't give him knight a5, knight c4 type of stuff. So, you know, it's just like easy to throw out d4, but I'm not sure that's the best move because he starts to get some squares for the knights. Probably you could calculate a way to make d4 good, but I think it's not the most flexible move here for white. Make d4 good again. Guys, we do the stream every day, Monday to Friday, 10 to 12:30, though usually I'm not playing unusual, unorthodox type of openings. This one kind of barely qualifies. I got distracted, and yes, I did play a normal opening. I played my main line, kind of, like knight f3, c4. It's easy to play. I don't have to think about a lot of theory, and that's what I do when I'm playing blitz and I don't have much time against strong players, for example. I feel like knight f3 and stuff, that's, wow, knight e5. Missed this. I missed this completely. That means we're going to have to give up one of the b's, most likely. We still have a great king, though. c4. Bishop takes d5, rook takes d5. I think that might just help him, ultimately. c4. Knight takes f3. We've got all sorts of options. Give up one of our b's. Tempting to take with the pawn here. Increasing my control of the center, keeping d3 protected. I have a massive central pawn mass. Knight f6 played quickly there. A massive central pawn mass. He's really fast. But I'm getting in time pressure. He has 4 minutes to my 1. This is best move. Rook d6. I was a little concerned about rook a6 coming into play there. He's not only playing well, he's playing very, very fast. Doesn't make any unnecessary pawn moves. That's maybe the first one that I would describe as unnecessary pawn move. So there's like no weaknesses to attack. I've only played this player once yesterday, I believe. Now we have at least some kind of plan with a5. Black may well be okay here. Yeah, he's defending extremely well. Objectively, this is probably a draw. But I would never agree to a draw in this position against a low-rated player. I don't think that white is much better, but it's... Oh, why would he do that? Why would he do that? Hanging his pawn with check. It was a tragic mistake. Tempting to play that move, but it's not good. The knight's a good blockader. I'm not sure my bishop's really better than the knight in this position, objectively. Trading pieces. Okay, still my structure is not perfect. Seems strange to play rook b8 and pin yourself. This has got to be a win. We have effectively two connected passed pawns. Baku's played perfectly. Basically the whole game. And then, not perfectly, but perfectly well. Well enough, you know, and then he made this horrendous just drop of his c5 pawn in basically an equal position with 3 minutes on the clock. Now it's got to be playing too much bullet. He doesn't have bullet. He just got nervous. And now trading rooks is like resigning. It's Zugzwang. We're up a pawn. I guess there are ways that you could go wrong here. I wonder if I should play f4. I should probably play f4. My original plan was to create two connected passed pawns. That's not the problem. That's not the plan now, because he's gone a takes b. I cannot create two connected passed pawns. Now it's a matter of creating a passed pawn and possibly Zugzwang. Anyway, guys, I don't really have too much time. I have to move pretty much instantly here. So I'm sure good bishop. Sure, this is winning. We could actually walk the other way, try to walk up there, but he'll probably play f6, block me out. So my instinct was to come over here and try to create a passed pawn with c5, and it should be pretty simple. Eventually I just promote because he's in Zugzwang. This was a mistake. I should play c5. Maybe not, though. If I do c5, he has e5. There's another vote for f4. Might have been a useful move. It doesn't matter, though. This is winning. There are just too many pawns on the board for this to be a draw. I may have screwed this up. It looks like my king position is too good, though. Oh, this is a draw. Sorry, guys. Just spazzed out with d5. I thought it was winning. I mean e5. Anything else was winning. Oh, wow. All right. This is a nice account. Where's the mate in 1? Alright, guys, let's get this troll out of here. And it's a shame they can't ban people's ISPs from lichess. I just played e5, d5 check unnecessarily, but e5 was the mistake in the first place. I should have played d5. Alright, we all make mistakes, including me. So, just that I was down to 11 seconds, I felt kind of pressure to make a quick decision. Normally I would take my time and win easily there, but... Alright, unusual openings. Let's play e4. Try to mix it up a little bit. It might have worked if it was close to Zugzwang, but I needed to have... Yeah, of course it would work normally, but he had too many waiting moves. Exactly. This is a stratagem in Zugzwang situations. Just that I didn't have him in Zugzwang yet. If I had first made some move on the king side, it might work to play e5. Caro-Kann is kind of difficult, Franco 2000, to play something unusual against. I think he's done this before. Against the Caro-Kann, let's try Queen e2, shall we? Maybe Knight c3 and Queen f3. How did he still have so much time? Although his time was already running out. Triumphant, I don't know why you're so sarcastic about everything that I say. I didn't mean his ISP, but I meant his specific internet, not his ISP. Okay, dude, don't have to be sarcastic about everything. I have this psychotic troll following me around. I mean, it's kind of unpleasant, you know. Let's try to be consider it. You know what I meant? I'm being stalked by a psychotic, and obviously their internet address should be banned from playing on lichess, but I don't think that's possible. Their IP address. I didn't mean their ISP, obviously. We'll just, we'll ban everybody who has a Yahoo. We'll ban everybody who has Gmail from playing on lichess. But when it gets to the point where someone's like stalking someone, it's not custom mods, guys. He came on and he was very aggressive and trolling me, and I was angry with him. But this is another psychotic person. It's not anything to do with him. This troll has been... Well, anyway, I don't want to talk about them. It's okay. Probably best to just play knight takes d4 here. The queen is vulnerable to attack from maybe knight a6, bishop c5, a lot of stuff. I like my pawn structure. Queen takes is interesting, but this is also more easy to play for white, I think. g3. Idea bishop g2. Keeping this pawn solidly defended. Interesting for black to consider bishop b4 in this type of position, but honestly, wow, d5. Okay. That seems kind of strange. I mean, with the queen on c7, but why not? You can try it. This queen seems like it's going to lose a tempo at some point. Yeah, I mean, if you're a moderator, you can see the account following me. But this is to the point where it's like stalking, you know? So I think something should be done. All right. But the problem with the situation is that you can just make up unlimited amounts of lichess accounts. While I like the freedom, you know, the open facing nature of lichess, there is this issue of, you know, trolls and people who can have access to unlimited numbers of accounts. It's just an issue that we have to deal with. But anyway, back to chess. So I don't know, Franco's playing this very risky fashion. Actually, I missed bishop, I may have missed bishop knight to b5 or something, no? C takes d5 castles, bishop takes, knight to b5. I'm a little bit distracted. I mean, this move is just clean. It just wins, basically wins the game. I mean, he's strategically crushed after knight to b5. B takes c5 also is quite good. B takes c3 also quite good, though. Instead of a4, if I played a3, it was a win for me. a4, you mean a4, a3, Bakus. What are you talking about with a4 and a3? There was no a4 and a3. You mean like you're talking about on the other side? h6? I'm not sure what you mean. This is a very, very strong position for white now. To get to the actual position. Okay, a little distracted. No, this isn't so bad for black. He's got c3. I let him get away with something here, big time. We missed a lot of opportunities. And still, this looks strong. Bishop f4. But I think that black has a playable position now. He shouldn't have gotten this far. He should not have been allowed to get this far. He's reached a situation where he's only slightly worse, and this is fortunate. Laz Hazier raises a good point. Yeah, the name blocking. It's not that easy, I guess. Name recognition software is a question. You meant h6 instead of h5. You're actually winning. It's possible. It's possible you're even winning in that game, Bakus. I got distracted and I played e5 in time pressure. It's a horrible move. I could just play anything there other than e5. It's like the worst move on the board, literally. But I was thinking like I can force a Zugzwang. Of course, you have waiting moves, so it doesn't make sense. Okay. We are getting in time pressure again. Franco is a decent player, but he misplayed this opening really badly. This is not a good opening for black. And now white stands slightly better with the bishops and more development. But still black's in the game, which shouldn't be the case because he was playing the opening really, really badly. Too slow. I mean, queen c7 right off the bat is a very suspicious move. That's actually something I have seen before. Maybe it's not so bad. d4, e takes d4, knight takes d4, knight f6. It just like feels like black's wasted too much time here. Maybe in fact the only really bad move is bishop b4. Giving up that bishop. Other than that, it wasn't so bad. But I think when he does bishop b4, it's just asking too much from the position. So we fixed our pawn structure slightly, but still there are issues here. This d3 pawn is a problem. Oh, I thought I made a move, but I didn't. Almost. I've had so many mouse slips in the last week. Has anyone chat a higher bullet rating than 2328? Why do you ask? I don't have a bullet rating. I'm not sure about this. We're penetrating on the 7th with rook b7. Now knight c5. Knight c5 is an issue. Franco 2000. He's up to 2261. I knew this was a strong player when he played some tough games against me in my simul's. But now he's 2261. That's pretty solid, man. He did beat me the first time. There's a draw. Maybe some disconnections, though. Sure. If I really beat him all those games. Black's hanging on here. We are clearly better. But I'm not sure this is enough. It's hard to break through. It takes a lot of work to win a position like this. Black's so solid. I don't know objectively if I have enough here. Probably not. Even with a rook on the 7th and the bishop pair, it looks really hard for black to break it down. There, of course, knight there, and there's knight a4, which is very disruptive. That's going to cause me endless headaches, probably. I wanted to play g4, taking away this square, kind of Karpovian type of play, like one square at a time strategy, taking away little pieces of black's position. The f5 square for his bishop to improve, basically, and now he blundered. Still, it's not an easy win. He has lost 2 pieces for a rook. This may not be that easy. I think that's a terrible mistake. You have rook d8 there, and you can force a single rook against 2 bishops where it's actually hard for me. Rook takes rook, bishop c5, and this position may be fairly difficult for white because it's so blocked. And now we tie him down to g7, and I think that now we also can open it up for the second bishop, so it's just lost. But after rook d8, I'm not sure that's even winning for me. I mean, I'm up clear 2 bishops for a rook, but if your rook gets in the position or something, my whole position will fall apart. Rook takes a7 is good enough. We were just really lucky. Oh, I have bishop e4 check. Probably good to throw that in. Or is it? No, doesn't hurt. Or does it? Maybe it does hurt, actually. Maybe this is an inaccuracy. Nah, probably doesn't matter. I saw this, but I have just king g3, and I can play f3. If this was a threat, then I would have made a big mistake. I would have made a big mistake. But no. Now the a-pawn just wins. If I don't get mated by the 2 rooks on g2, but he can't free himself. Okay, I was lucky. Definitely lucky, guys. We have time for 3 more games. First, I've seen me with a big time advantage. Yeah, I mean, Franco, one of those players who actually takes his time. It's hard to believe, I know. But there are a few of us dinosaurs left. 1 question IQ test, good luck. This is a player who usually comes a little bit later, and he often hasn't gotten to play. No, I'm sorry that's the case. What are we going to do? We're going to play e4 again. Please don't play the Caro-Kann. I'm not exactly Magnus Carlsen. Thank you. I wasn't aware. But there's very few people that are Magnus Carlsen other than Magnus Carlsen. E4, E5. think I'm probably ranked around 2,000 in the world, maybe as low as like 2,500. But it's not bad. I have played with a lot of the best players in the world. I've been fortunate. Not a lot, but some of them. Anyway. Carlsen, Caruana, Nakamura, multiple games. Aronian. F4, E takes F4. I think we're going to play Bishop C4 like our friend earlier. I'm not a big fan of Queen H4, and I think the statistics for that move do justify my opinion. Earlier we had a game where we were black and we played D5, and there are certainly other ways for black to play. I think C6 is another move with a similar intention, obviously. Knight F6 might be a good move for black as well, but Queen H4, I strongly recommend that you go over some of this like classic games from the last century, because the King's Gambit was a very popular opening 100 years ago, and there are just tons of quality games that were played in the history of chess. But I think the statistics and experience goes to show that this is just not worth it. Queen H4, it's a variation and people have tried it. I think we had one game on the stream where black did something unusual, like he put the queen on H6, but it ended up being an improvement over like the normal Queen H5. I remember very distinctly looking at that and thinking, wow, that's a strange looking move, but later when I analyzed it, it was like even the engine was like supporting the Queen H6 maybe being better than Queen H5. But the question I don't know about is really like D6. Is that the best move or not for black in this position? I don't recall the game I'm talking about where black retreated with Queen H6 we had on the stream like months and months ago. I usually have moderators Baku, but he's not here today, and I think our troll knows that, you know, so we don't have an unlimited number of moderators. Yeah, he took the day off today. He had some stuff to do, so that's all right. We'll manage for one day. I'm under a constant assault from a troll, but I'm going to write to Twitch and see, you know, if we can specifically deal with this one troll. I'm going to talk to them today because he's devolved into being like a stalker type of behavior. So we'll see if we can do something very concrete against this one individual. Bishop G4, allowing bishop takes D1, knight takes H4, bishop takes D1, knight A3. Probably not that good for white, I would think. There's nothing really going on. He's going to have to move his queen eventually. I'll just play knight C3. We definitely need another mod, though. I wouldn't mind, but it has to be someone that I kind of know and trust, and someone who's here all the time, which is hard, you know, at this time to find someone who's always available. I'm streaming kind of an unusual time, morning here, mostly, and Sundays. For my simul on Sundays at 6:30 p.m. CET. But if you are a regular and you're interested in being a moderator, it's not a big deal. If you happen to be coming on stream regularly, it is possible. You might be subjected to extreme vetting. Knight to f6, dropping a piece. Oh, that's convenient. It takes me a while to pick up on things sometimes. But my queen is defended. That was the sneaky point of knight to c3. Guys, I also have a YouTube channel, Video Chess Training on YouTube. And if you want to check it out, we upload all the streams there. We also do once a week, mostly once a week, sort of different kind of instruction videos, basically. All different topics. Review videos of games from here. Openings. Review of Grandmaster games. I know I'm not Magnus Carlsen, but I'm pretty experienced commentating and analyzing video and live commentary. I have extensive experience, so it's my field. D3, you're gonna lose a piece for just one pawn, basically. I've got bishop takes f4 coming up too, so there's no hope for survival. That pawn is going to leave you with just one pawn for a piece. Bakus nominates Plucro. I would nominate Plucro, but I'm not sure if he wants to have that extra responsibility. But it's just like, I kind of need someone when Jeroen's not here, which is more or less once or twice a week, but it's not like you have to be here every time. Just it helps me, because I can't really concentrate on the games if I'm banning trolls constantly. It does take away from my concentration. That's the main point. I mean, it's not like a lot of heavy lifting. Alright, so knight f3, another opening where it's very, very hard to play something unusual against knight to f3. It's kind of like playing against the Caro-Kann with white. What are we going to do to play an unusual opening against knight f3? Well, b5. I mean, I actually played this against Kushtar Shandor, who lives in the US now. I guess he lives in like Wyoming or something. Really weird place. I don't mean like weird place, but weird place for a chess player to go. Like a Hungarian chess player who moved to Montana or Wyoming. I'm not sure which one it was. Or maybe South Dakota. Just way out west. You know, you just wouldn't expect to meet a Hungarian chess player living like on a ranch in Wyoming or something like that. He's a good guy. I don't know if anybody of you guys have ever heard of Kushtar Shandor. We did play this against him, though. I took him out. He's a very solid player. He plays knight f3 almost all the time. English type of stuff. Not easy to beat. 2400 quality IM. That was a one-off game where I needed to play something to surprise him, and I did manage to do it with b5. He reacted kind of weirdly by playing, I think he played a quick a4 at some point, if I'm not mistaken. Really early. Maybe it went something like e3, a6, a4, b4. And we had this kind of structure where he played a4 and I played b4. The game was complicated and I won later, but not because of the opening. Okay, so this, I was actually asking a question a while back. This is actually a fairly popular way for black to play, and you can reach it by a lot of different move orders. I've seen some strong players play for black. Off the top of my head, I've seen Robert Hess use the setup for black. A lot of GMs over the history of chess. So my question is, like, what is it called? Does anybody know what this is called when you deal with this Queen's Indian by playing an early b5? So basically, like, d4, knight f6, knight f3, e6, g3, b5. I'm just wondering if this has a specific name. Steek played a3, though. That looks like a weakening kind of strange passive move by white, because oftentimes you're going to play a4 to undermine my queen side. So you kind of nix that idea and play a sort of semi-passive move. It's not terrible. I mean, but what are you going to do? Play b4? That's very weakening. I guess like b3 and bishop b2 when I can't use the b4 square for my pieces, maybe. Get the Benko, but you're not going to get a Benko. It's just definitely unlikely. He hasn't played c4. I'm just curious. It must have some kind of name, you know, in theoretical circles. Like this, it's kind of like a pseudo Queen's Indian. I guess we could put it into some chess site and it would spit out a name for us. Extended Queen's Indian or extended fianchetto Queen's Indian. Probably some kind of weird thing like that. Yeah, I mean, white is white and can afford to waste time, but you lost your advantage when you played a3 objectively. White is still probably not quite worse. Basically, you can afford to waste one move. If you waste one move with white, you're equal, and if you waste two moves with white, you're worse. So he's wasted one move. But black's position is pretty aggressive. But without the possibility of a4, I mean, that's the bigger tragedy here for white. a4 is really... So normally what happens is, instead of a3, white would play castles, and then something like c5, c3. And that's where play starts, and then normally white plays something like a4 at some point down the line to try to loosen up black's queen side. But a6, queen b6, we can try to hold the structure together. The other day I had this position with colors reversed, and my opponent played bishop e3. And on a very, very old stream, against a player who I suspected used an engine, bishop e3 again, this Grunfeld type of idea may be a pretty cool way of treating the position. But anyway, Stig's move, okay. e3, it's fine. You know, e3 is solid but passive again, slightly passive. If I play d6 here, I'm a little concerned about a trade of queens, not leaving me with anything really. So I guess we have to play queen b6, not to allow a trade of queens. Put some pressure on d4. I'm sure that Robert Ritchie could manage to scrounge up something from this position with white with his... This looks like something he would do. You know, he likes to do like weird things, like put the knight on c3 and then play a3 with white pieces. Yeah, this could definitely be a Rapport game. And I guess eventually you could even try to play e4, turn it into a Sicilian. I decided to play d6, keep the structure fluid, recapture with the pawn here. Knight bd7, not to block my bishop on b7. So guys, this game and then two more. Chess tempo is out of book. Wow, that's so strange. Exactly, knight f3, knight f6, g3, e6, bishop g2, b5. There has to be a name for that, you know. I guess you could call it like a delayed Polish defense. It could fall in the category of Polish defense. I mean, what I did is definitely... I'm trying to move illegally. I forgot you didn't move. I was expecting a move by now. What I did is definitely Polish defense. I mean, there's no question about this. Knight f3, b5 is Polish defense. But I was asking, yeah, the more general question. I guess it's Polish defense. It's a version of the Polish defense. Queen b6. Ask a stupid question and answer your own question. I don't know. Polish defense. Duh. That would be the answer. Now rook e1. I thought you might try that right away, actually, Stieg. I thought you might play rook e1. It's a little better to play it first, because you have additional option to maybe play e4, turn it into a Sicilian. This is still okay for white. He hasn't made his second bad move yet. Though I'm hoping for very soon. Oh man, there are some kind of weird goings on here, like bishop c6. e4, queen b7. c4 is worth considering, but it looks like it really weakens my queen side. Alright, let's try it. Pretty extreme, but I just didn't like some things I was seeing if I played routinely here with like knight bd7, e4. For example, he's already threatening stuff like knight to d5 check maybe, or knight to d5, excuse me. Maybe you can try to do that anyway. e4, bishop c5. This is my point now. You know, this is why I did this, was to enable bishop c5, obviously, and nasty pressure on f2 with knight g4 ideas. You know, so I was trying to discourage e4 by playing c4. Maybe it was good. Queen d2 now. Once again, we have the possibility of knight to g4. He has knight to d1 to defend there. We can also play knight to c6 now. We've lost some flexibility on the queen side, though. There's no more b4 type of ideas. Though if we play knight c6, we could get in rook d8. And I can also meet like knight to d5. Well, knight d5 is probably not an issue. Even if I play knight bd7, now that my bishop's out, if he ever does a knight d5 sacrifice, I can take it and play like king f8. Just get away from the center. Knight c6 here. He played h3. No, but I've got rook d8 now. And there's just too much pressure. He would love to play queen f4, but there's no time. If he could get his queen to an aggressive square, but there's no time. And then I think that white's just worse here. Still, he's not lost. We have some interesting ideas, though. Knight h5. Surprisingly difficult to meet that move. Maybe it's a brilliancy. Or not. He has a simple answer. Oh no. Bishop e3. Yeah, that's a good move. Well, that sucks. Still, black might be a little bit better, but we definitely... What? Oh no. Is this a trap of some kind? What's this? Why is he taking back with the pawn? White had queen takes with no problems. Maybe he's a tiny bit worse here, but not really much. Maybe not at all, in fact. He kind of hallucinated. Unless this is some sort of trap. Knight takes g3. Queen f2. Knight h5. Could be a sacrifice, an intentional sacrifice. I have queen c7. But I'm not sure if that benefits me or makes things worse. No, it definitely seems interesting. Because if he chooses to play e5, then my knight has a better retreat square that I didn't have access to before. I just blundered. Okay, Stig was in time pressure. He blundered. I don't know, man. I mean, I think that first of all, I let you equalize with bishop e3, and then now here you had maybe e5. Guys, we have time for well, I said 2 more games, but we shall see. King Chaser needs to change his challenge to 8-3. But actually, King Chaser, I would prefer it if you want to play one more game, to make it like 5-3, because I don't really have that much time. I'd like to play maybe one last 5-minute game after this game with Mule Skinner. I'm too stressed about the time. I thought maybe e5. You know, he can sacrifice. I play knight f5. He can play e4. His e5 pawn is in danger of falling. It seems like he might have some compensation. Mule Skinner, I have to play something unusual. I've played everything against Mule Skinner. Mule Skinner should be a moderator because he's one of the only people. Actually, he and Plucro are here the most. Constant change. Whoever's here the most needs to be the backup moderator. I was thinking the other day, the only thing I don't play is I never play the French defense. I don't know why, but it doesn't really feature in my repertoire normally. I have tried virtually every standard opening against Mule Skinner other than the French defense. He actually plays the French defense himself. So we're running out of stuff to play against him. Let's play e5 and try to do something unusual here. Charles Dwyer. The harassing individual has been IP banned. So I was going to play the Latvian. What does Mule Skinner do against knight c6 actually? Let's play knight c6. And then we'll play the Schliemann, because we've never gotten to play the Schliemann on the stream. Or Yanish Gambit. I would be awesome if the Elephant Gambit was a good idea. We'll do that next time. Okay, Elephant Gambit for next time. But I had a feeling Mule Skinner would play bishop b5. It's been a while since I played e4 against him, but that'd be awesome if the guy was really IP banned. This is what I play. Knight c3 probably is main line. And then the big question, there are 2 lines for black here. Pawn takes pawn and knight f6. And I'm trying to remember the lines now. I think the pawn takes pawn is more... Well, even after pawn takes pawn, I guess there's 2 lines for black. I think there was a recent game I saw somewhere in this variation. Somewhere in my travels. Oh, somebody played in Gibraltar. I understand what it is now. Somebody played this with black against a young player, like an IM, 2500 IM, played the Schliemann as black against Ivanchuk, I think. I'm pretty sure it was Ivanchuk. Someone really strong, Ivanchuk or Topalov, probably Ivanchuk. I don't really remember the theory too well here. But the main line, you know, there's a lot of theory with d5. I mean, it's massive. After d5, knight takes e5, it's really deeply analyzed. But probably slightly better for white. Though, if I recall correctly, here, this is considered to be the better try for black, statistically. Less analysis. It's a tough opening. It's not bad for black. Latvian is basically lost. Yeah. The Latvian is basically virtually unsound. But the Schliemann is pretty reasonable. But I think this knight f6 is the way to play it. Now in the game, I guess it was Ivanchuk in Gibraltar. I'm not sure though. It was some 2700 player faced a lower rated 2500 guy who played the Schliemann against them. And it was one of these variations where white sacks or black sacks a pawn, basically sacks a pawn. But in that game I saw, I think it looked like he just got out techniqued. It wasn't really about the opening. I also play this for white. I could tell you what I would play with white, but I'd have to kill you. I don't want to give away. Maybe the mods should get on chat polls. What? How about for Weird Wednesday, you start agree from specific position? Well, that's not a bad idea anyway, Triumphant. You know, to do like basically a thematic stream. You know, that's another idea also, like in itself. The way that lichess has thematic tournaments. This may be the main line, but I like Queen E2. I think Sasha Ivanov, my great Boston influence, also plays this for white. Queen E2 should be main line, if I'm not mistaken. That's at least one or two games I've played. But I suppose the knight takes f6 is also a main line. And now is a good question, because I've wandered beyond my theoretical. I think I'm beyond my theoretical knowledge point. Natural, like to play something like d6 here, but I'm pretty sure that's not the move. And there was a strong, relatively strong GM who used to play the Schliemann on a regular basis. He's probably still alive, but I'm not sure. This Russian, Seitlin is the name, and he was one of these few GMs who would play really offbeat stuff. He also played unusual openings. I think he might have played the Budapest Gambit as well. So not too many like Soviet grandmasters into the offbeat openings, but Seitlin was one of them. I think he played the Latvian. I might have a book. Maybe I'm getting confused though. I'm pretty sure this is the right move, but I'm obviously kind of out of my theoretical preparation. Can black get away with bishop c5? It looks over the top. Yeah, you're asking too much from your position. No, I'm pretty sure bishop e7 is the move. We're just sacking a pawn straight up. You can have my e5 pawn. That's the basic idea here. Well, first of all, white is threatening a pawn win with bishop takes c6, d takes c, knight takes e5, you know, queen takes e5, rook e1. So this actually defends the pawn, essentially. But d4 I'm a little concerned about, because I think I just left the theoretical building. Okay. We got to keep an open mind here. But pawn takes pawn looks kind of dangerous for black, to say the least. I guess e4 would be my default move. Yeah, I guess I have to play e4, but I don't remember this being a variation. I'm definitely a little bit scared. I don't recall this this line, because I played it with white. Well, I did analyze it a bit for white, but it was a long time ago. It's not an opening you encounter on a regular basis, so it's easy to forget. Easy to forget the theory. Bishop g5, though, is the obvious idea. There's some weird complications, like bishop g5, queen f5. Bishop takes e7, queen takes b5, and it looks like I win a piece. Or bishop g5, queen f5. Yeah, now here's an interesting situation. If I take on f3, I'm just down a pawn, right? That's not the kind of pawn sacrifice I want to make. You know, I mean, that's just a clear pawn down with no compensation. That's not what we had in mind. Here, though, queen takes c6. Because I want to avoid bishop g5 if possible. Trading my bishop off. D takes c, bishop g5, queen moves somewhere, like queen g6. But this should be okay. D takes c, bishop g5, queen g6, bishop takes e7, e takes f3, threatening mate, and then like I win a piece. This is probably still book. I just forgot it. I think this could still be the theory. I just forgot. Bishop g5 is probably not good for white, so he has to just make an ordinary move of some sort, not trading my bishop pair off. And I'd be very surprised if this wasn't some kind of relatively common variation. But it feels like black should have enough compensation. Two bishops look pretty good. We can undermine his center with like c5. We've got the f file for counterplay. E takes f3, knight takes d7, bishop takes d7, queen takes, rook takes f3, said Proxima. Alright, we've got Mule Skinner on the run, on the clock. Let's see what we've got for challenges. I really have time for like one more blitz game. So King Chaser did change it to 5-3. That's awesome because that's about all I have time for. 1-5-3 game. Wednesday's kind of busy for me, but I promised to play one more game, and I like to keep my promises. So I was having fun today till we got trolled, but still we managed to salvage it. The variation that Proxima was talking about, d4, e4, bishop takes c6, e takes f3, what? Knight takes d7. I'm not sure where he's at there. This looks like the kind of pawn sacrifice that I was referring to. But he may have problems here after queen g6. If I just castle, he plays knight takes e4. And I'm not sure I have enough compensation. Like queen g6. Sorry, castles. Knight takes e4, queen g6, knight g3. Where's my compensation? I have a little bit, but I think I have to play this. What about rook e1? He's not well enough developed to really do any damage here. And we're starting to set up tactics. We're threatening to win a piece. He doesn't have any queen squares for his queen. This seems like it's looking good for black. His knight has nowhere to retreat, in fact. If he's not careful, he loses a piece around here. He may be losing a piece anyway. Actually, what do you do? It just looks like white's losing a piece. Even f4, h6, F5. Bishop takes F5. I don't really see anything for white. We're going to play one more blitz game after this. This is not my last game. I'm going to play one more blitz game with King Chaser. He changed his challenge to 5+3. So thanks, guys. Please check out my YouTube channel, Video Chess Training on YouTube. Okay, Mule Skinner decided to sacrifice a piece here, and I think he's got a little bit of play. This actually. This looks kind of scary now that I think about it. Maybe I messed up. Not messed up, but I mean, maybe I miscalculated that I was winning. You can just take this. Queen takes, rook e1. No, I don't know about this. Wow. Maybe. Just rook e1 and threatening bishop g5 all the time. It looks like I can't protect my e7 and at the same time stop. It looks like I can't protect e7 and stop bishop g5 at the same time. And I don't have time to castle. Queen takes e4, rook e1. Of course, it makes sense. Queen d5, queen e2. And I'm kind of screwed. We'd have to castle. Sacrifice the piece back with relatively equal-ish position. Wish I knew what I was doing here. If I don't take the piece, though, I don't think I have enough compensation. You know, that's the argument. He also has queen h5 check. Does that do anything? Rook e5 is going to be a problem in some lines. Queen f5. Staying in touch with you. Staying in touch with g5. Staying in touch with f6. There's a very specific variation here. If queen e2, queen f6, and now I had a different plan, which is really, really dodgy. We need the phone to Ilya Gurovich. He's the expert. Ilya used to play. He lives in San Francisco. He doesn't play chess seriously, but he used to play the Jaenisch or Schliemann a lot back in the day on ICC. And now we're trying to get away. Some of these experts in this opening just play like there. I don't know what's better, king d8 or king f8. I don't really have too much time to think about it. It's a tough call either way, king d8 or king f8. But it looks like we escaped unscathed up a piece. Wow. Okay, don't panic. Like I panicked in the king and pawn endgame where I just like lost. Almost lost earlier. The 10-second increment panic. Alright, now it's over. One more blitz game, guys. Neil Skinner, I don't know about that game. Sorry, Mohammed, no time for a long game now. I've got to play one last game with King Chaser. It's 5-3. This is the maximum I can play. Gotta run. Black got out of it mostly. Well, I mean, it sort of looked like only defense. To play Queen F5, Queen F6, that's critical. If that works, then there was no other way. I mean, that was the only way I could try to hold on to the piece. Maybe White missed something. Got to play something unusual, so we'll play the O'Kelly variation of the Sicilian. I've played other weird stuff like Queen C7, Queen A5, but A6 is a pretty kind of reliable variation. Right, and now E5. This is the trap. Black basically equalizes straight away. But I never play this opening, so forgive me if I make a mistake. I think this is good. Knight B3. But I'm not sure of the next move, though. Well, I guess we just play Bishop B4. I mean, D5 is the other idea, but I don't see how that works here. This is basically forced. Right. So, I mean, Bishop G5, I guess, for King Chaser there. And can I play D5? That's an interesting pawn sacrifice. Maybe D5 for black after Bishop G5, or maybe H6 and D5. I don't know. But this is going to transpose to... Well, I can play D5, I guess. I don't really like that, though. D5. We can transpose this to more or less a Queen B6 type of Sicilian. Do we try to play based on structure? D5. Pawn takes D5. Knight takes D5. Doesn't look that convincing to me, actually. So I was thinking just play on structure here. Play for structure. Not exactly optimal. D5. Can we try anything more aggressive, like D5, pawn takes E4? Sack a pawn for the initiative. Doesn't look really correct. Burning my clock. Oh, you think I'm supposed to play D5, Blue Crow? Like D5? I don't know about this position. Anyway, we've got to make a decision here. The bishop's on B4, D5, pawn takes D5, knight takes D5, opening up his D3 bishop. Looking like it's raking my king side. It looks like a bad scotch after that. Takes, knight takes. Yeah, we'll try to play conservatively here, I guess. Positional approach. He was ready. Not ready, but ready. It's a bad joke. Not sure about my move order here. There's also Queen C7. I've played A6. I kind of wish I hadn't played A6 now. Though it's hard to imagine playing the Sicilian without A6. It does weaken my dark square, like these squares. Since he has a dark square bishop and I don't, I need to be thoughtful about the dark squares coming under white's control. You know, bishop A3, bishop E3, this, and having pawns on white squares doesn't help my case. You know, Really, it would be better to have the pawn on a7, pawn on b6. Then everything is coordinated. This looks like a solid move. I don't play the Najdorf, but I always kind of wish I did. Feel kind of left out. Everyone plays the Najdorf, but I decided at a very early stage that there was this book by John Nunn. It was like a 250-page tome that came out around like the mid-'80s on the Najdorf, and I had that book, but it was like I don't know, the first like massive opening book devoted to the Najdorf. It was a little too much. It was kind of like scary how much Nunn had analyzed. Made me not want to play the Najdorf. It was just too much, you know. Like, I think there was even a book. There was once a book that came out in the 80s that was like just about the poison pawn variation. Like an entire 150-page book on just the poison pawn variation. This is like in the late 80s. So I was scared of the Najdorf, man. It's like too much to learn for black. That's why I never do play the Najdorf. Is d5, e takes d4, e4? Yeah, it's not complete nonsense. I mean, that was something to think about there. I thought about if it was like a bullet game. Yeah, believe me, like if this was a bullet game, I can't click, but I would very seriously consider after bishop d3, d5, pawn takes d5, e4. That's the kind of thing you should play, you know, for the initiative. If it's a very fast time control, it may not be utter nonsense at all. Actually, maybe that's the best line. Maybe that's the secret sauce there. d5, pawn takes pawn, e4, and when he retreats, then you can recapture on d5 with the queen. You know what? I mean, that actually might be the right line for black. You could also play it like a gambit in a bullet chess situation, but now rook e1, I'm happy to see that move because it feels like white, you know, is kind of calling a timeout or something with rook e1. Obviously, f4 is opening the position. That's what I'm afraid of with these two knights. I don't want the position to open up. We're trying to lock it up against the two bishops, Nimzo-Indian style. I'm not even thinking about this pawn on c4. I'm not even considering taking this pawn, you know, with this. This pawn on d6 is too important. It's a formative part of my structure. This is just a distraction. Maybe later on, like 20 moves from now, we'll think about taking this. After I maneuver my knight to a5, like knight bd7, even then it's hard to imagine. How am I going to pick that pawn off? Maybe we'll reinforce d6. So we played f4 anyway. Well, the big problem is that I have no place to put my bishop. But we could play knight c5 and retreat the bishop to d7. It's kind of a tough call. I mean, if I take on f4, that's okay. He opens the position here, but we have a great square. The other knight could actually revolve back around to c5. Of course, tactics very important here. We have to watch out. But I don't see anything for white especially good. This bishop will sell his life for the knight, and then it's like two bishops against two knights in a locked structure where white can't possibly be better. If he could manage to open it up somehow, white would have serious chances to get an advantage, but I just don't see, you know, I'm going to castle kingside, and that's gone. It's gone. I mean, it's just gone. It's leaving the board now. It's a little open, but not enough for the bishops to really work. So I think black is equal at the very minimum here. Now, without having time to count the pawns on the board. I mean, maybe I'm up a pawn or something, but it's not really the important factor here. You know, we just want this bishop to be bad. Look at this bishop. It's amazing. You know, it has pawns in every direction. It's like blind, and I don't care. All right, f3. This opens up his king side. King safety. Very important. Material is not that important here. Rook d8. Maybe rook fd8 and rook c8. What's the best way to go? I'm having some second thoughts about this position. I think I made a mistake. But we're really, really low on time. As I mentioned earlier, I mean, this pawn is... take it when it's convenient. Well, now... knight takes bishop c1. Queen takes. Either way. I feel a little safer with the queens off the board and those two bishops on it. White's still not 100% lost here, but he doesn't really have a clear plan. But I thought he should redeploy this bishop on the long diagonal. Maybe like the previous move. Around here, right? Instead of queen e2. Yeah, maybe this. And white's still in the game. I don't like the position too much. And I guess he's worse. I won't move my knight. I'll just play, you know, queen takes c4. But it's not totally over. Black's probably better. But interesting, like last question, was this theory until which point? Yeah. So, was bishop e4 the right move? Yes. Was the next move correct? No. Right, you're right. I'm supposed to play d5. The computer likes my move, bishop takes c3, but d5 is probably better. E takes d5 and e4, I was thinking. That's the critical question. Is this good? The engine says just like take on d5. That's apparently theory, but I don't think that this is that obvious to me that it's so bad for white. Castles looks interesting, sacking a pawn. That I was concerned about, this idea. So apparently it's okay for black, but you can also play, but I was curious about this move. You know, and then take with the queen on d5. That's what I would have done. But apparently black's a tiny bit overextended here. No games in this position, strangely. Knight takes d5. Karajitsa played this. Chom. I know these guys. Knight takes d5. Karajitsa. It's a little bit overextended for black. Yeah, so probably e4 is pushing too hard. You're supposed to just take back on d5. My variation is known. Hu Yi Fan. We're in good company. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow with more classical and blitz chess here on lichess. Don't forget to check out my YouTube channel, Video Chess Training. If anybody's interested in lessons or training themselves, you can contact me, videochesstrainer@gmail.com. And I do thank everyone who supported the stream via PayPal, donations for both the YouTube channel and for my streaming here on lichess via Twitch. Thanks, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.